Welcome back to the deep dive, where, well, our mission is always about cutting through the noise, getting to those truly impactful nuggets of knowledge.
That's right.
Today, we're plunging into a topic that honestly affects every single one of us, building wealth and achieving real financial independence.
Mm-hmm.
We've got an absolutely fascinating stack of sources for this deep dive. We're pulling wisdom from financial titans like Robert Kiyosaki, the pretty uncompromising Dave Ramsey,
Uncompromising?
and the groundbreaking, often really surprising research from the millionaire next door.
Yeah.
So get ready, because we're probably going to challenge some deeply held beliefs you might have about money.
That's precisely it. Our mission today, it's more than just presenting information. We really want to challenge those common assumptions,
Yeah.
extract truly practical, impactful wisdom, and give you actionable insights for your own financial journey. We'll explore different philosophies, reveal some surprising facts that might just flip your perspective, and ultimately help you navigate the path to managing your money effectively, building actual assets, and crucially, avoiding those all too common financial traps that keep so many people stuck.
Okay, so to truly revolutionize our approach to wealth, maybe we first have to deconstruct the very foundations of how we've been taught to think about money.
Good place to start.
Robert Kiyosaki kicks us off with a really powerful anecdote about his two fathers. It's a story that brilliantly exposes two, well, radically different blueprints for financial success or struggle.
Mm-hmm.
He describes his biological dad, highly educated, PhD, and his best friend Mike's father, who never finished the 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Both successful in their careers,
Right.
but their views on money couldn't have been more polar opposite.
It's a classic dichotomy, isn't it? Almost archetypal. Kiyosaki's poor dad embodied that traditional advice so many of us still hear. Go to school, get good grades, look for a safe, secure job.
The standard path.
Exactly. That dad focused heavily on scholastic and professional skills, working hard for government paycheck maybe, and believing he was sort of entitled to benefits.
Right.
In stark contrast, his rich dad focused intensely on financial skills, total financial self-reliance, and making money work for you. Created investments, retired at what, 47? Astonishing.
47. Wow. So it sounds like Rich Dad was emphasizing not just making money, but really understanding how money works.
Precisely.
And that leads to a critical point Kiyosaki makes. If that's the key, why do we see so many incredibly smart, highly educated professionals, bankers, doctors, accountants, who still find themselves struggling financially?
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive.
Kiyosaki argues that schools teach us professional skills to make money, sure, but they just don't teach the financial skills needed to keep and grow money. That's a massive, often overlooked gap, isn't it?
It really is. A huge gap in our education system.
So this brings us to Kiyosaki's most fundamental concept, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that often turns conventional wisdom completely on its head. He says, rich people acquire assets. The poor and middle class acquire liabilities, but they think they are assets. Now, that sounds simple,
Deceptively simple.
but it's deceptively powerful.
This is where the rubber truly meets the road, and it's a distinction that can change everything for you. To Kiyosaki, an asset is something that actively puts money in your pocket, consistently.
Okay, money in.
Conversely, a liability is something that consistently takes money out of your pocket. But the crucial insight here, which Kiyosaki really stresses,
Yeah.
is that it's not just the words asset and liability, it's the numbers. The numbers on your financial statements define them. If you can't read and understand those numbers, you simply can't tell the difference between the two. Doesn't matter how smart you are otherwise.
Kiyosaki makes a claim here that I think just stops a lot of people in their tracks. It flies right in the face of conventional wisdom.
A house one.
Yeah. He says, for many, their personal home isn't an asset at all, but a liability. My immediate reaction is always, wait, what? How can that be? What does he mean by that?
It's all about cash flow. Remember, asset puts money in, liability takes money out.
Right, the definitions.
So think about your home. Property taxes, insurance, routine maintenance, those surprise repairs.
Oh, yeah, the roof leak.
Exactly. Mortgage interest, too. These are all drains on your cash flow. They take money out. And Kiyosaki argues that the money tied up in your home equity, it isn't earning you anything.
Okay.
It represents an opportunity cost. Imagine having, say, $100,000 equity just sitting there in your house. What if you could have invested that at, let's say, a historical 7% return?
Right.
That's $7,000 you didn't earn that year. That's a real cost, even if you don't see it leave your bank account directly.
And this isn't just Kiyosaki being provocative. Dave Ramsey kind of echoes a similar sentiment, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Warning about borrowing against your home, like with a home equity loan, a HEL.
He does. He calls it very dangerous. Points out it can lead to losing your home during an emergency if you suddenly can't make those extra payments. Adds risk.
Okay.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, the research from The Millionaire Next Door by Stanley, it actually supports this contrarian view.
How so?
It shows that most multimillionaires don't live in what you'd typically consider expensive homes. For estates over $3.5 million, the median home value was only around $469,000.
That's surprisingly modest for that level of wealth.
It is, and what's even more telling is that these PAWs, the prodigious accumulators of wealth, as Stanley calls them, they often had more wealth invested in income-generating real estate, like rental properties.
Things putting money in their pocket.
Exactly. More wealth there than in their personal residences. They prioritize accumulating productive assets over a fancy primary home that just takes money out.
So if we're consistently mistaking liabilities for assets, what does that mean for our financial lives day to day? Kiyosaki describes this as the rat race, that relentless, just exhausting cycle.
Mm-hmm. Get up, go to work, pay bills.
Yeah, rinse and repeat. He says it's driven by two incredibly powerful emotions. Fear, specifically the fear of not having enough money.
The big one.
And greed, the desire for all the wonderful things money can buy. The problem is, this often leads to increased spending the moment our income increases. We get a raise, we buy a bigger cage.
Wraps us further.
Hmm.
And this connects perfectly with Dave Ramsey's perspective. Winning at money is 80% behavior and 20% head knowledge.
80% behavior, wow.
Yeah. He argues that many intelligent people are ignorant about money, and he defines ignorance simply as not knowing. It's not about a lack of intelligence.
Right.
This often manifests in what we call keeping up with the Joneses. Stanley's Millionaire Next Door research found that true millionaires, those PAWs, live well below their means.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They drive older, paid-for cars, buy blue jeans at Walmart. They prioritize financial independence over appearances. There's that great anecdote Stanley shares about a dad telling his child they could have a swimming pool, but it would be a big hat, no cattle situation.
Meaning all show, no substance.
Exactly. All hat, no cattle ranch behind it. They understood that true wealth is often invisible. It's not about the flashy stuff.
Kiyosaki also touches on laziness, but not in the way you might think. He calls it laziness by staying busy.
Interesting phrase.
Yeah, where people avoid important financial learning or taking action because they're too caught up in the daily grind, just doing busy work.
Right, avoiding the important stuff.
The surprising cure for this, he suggests, can actually be a little greed, that burning desire for something better, something beyond the rat race, which can motivate you to seek other forms of income, to actually break free.
And what's fascinating here is Kiyosaki's really radical strategy of paying yourself first, even before creditors.
Whoa, wait. How does that work? Isn't that risky?
It sounds it. But his point isn't about defaulting irresponsibly. It's about creating intense internal pressure on yourself to find other income sources.
Oh, okay.
He argues, maybe a bit cynically, that creditors will complain louder than you will if they don't get paid, forcing you to be more creative and diligent to find the money. It obviously requires immense self-discipline.
Yeah, I can see that.
And a major barrier to learning and financial growth, he notes, is arrogance. He defines it quite simply as ego plus ignorance.
Ego plus ignorance.
Yeah. Many people use arrogance to hide what they don't know, maybe believing that what they don't know isn't important enough to learn. Big mistake.
So connecting this back to, your financial journey, what does all this mean for everyday choices, especially around debt?
Right, the D word.
Now, many of us have been told that debt, maybe a car loan or even using a credit card to build credit, can be a useful financial tool.
Yeah.
But Dave Ramsey, he has a notoriously strong stance here. He calls these myths, doesn't he?
He absolutely does. Ramsey doesn't just disagree. He strongly pushes back on the idea that debt is a tool. He flat out says debt adds considerable risk, rarely brings true prosperity, and isn't used by wealthy people nearly as much as we're led to believe.
Okay.
He loves quoting the proverb, the borrower is slave to the lender. And Stanley's research, it kind of backs this up. It shows that UAWs, the under-accumulators of wealth, are often characterized by heavy credit use. They borrow a lot.
So what about things like car payments? That seems pretty normal.
Normal, yes. Optimal. Ramsey would say absolutely not. He points out the average car payment is what, $495 a month for 64 months.
Sounds about right.
Now, think about the massive opportunity costs. If you invested that $495 a month, say from age 25 to 65,
Yeah.
at a historical average of 12%, which, the S&P 500 has done over long periods,
Yeah.
you could potentially accumulate over $5.5 million.
$5.5 million from a car payment.
Potentially over that long time frame with that kind of return. It shows the power of compounding what you don't spend on debt. And leasing, forget about it. Consumer advocates, financial calculators, they all show it's the most expensive way to drive a car, often an effective interest rate around 14%.
Wow.
Millionaires, according to Stanley, they drive reliable used cars, typically paid for in cash. They see cars as tools that depreciate, not status symbols to finance.
Okay. What about credit cards then? We're always told you need to build credit.
Ramsey's counter is pretty blunt.
Huh.
Building credit is only necessary if you plan to stay in debt. Why build a score to borrow more if the goal is to be debt-free?
Oh, good point.
He highlights the devastating impact, especially of student credit card debt, points out that 19% of bankruptcies involve college students, and that whole safety argument for using credit cards online. He notes that debit cards, according to Visa themselves, offer the same online fraud protection these days.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yep. As for debt consolidation, often feels like a solution, but Ramsey calls it a trap. So 78% of people who consolidate credit card debt end up growing it back.
Why?
Often because the payment feels lower due to a longer term, not necessarily a better rate. It provides temporary relief but doesn't fix the underlying spending behavior. And of course, the lottery.
Yeah.
Ramsey calls it a tax on poor people and on people who can't do math. False hope, basically, not a real plan.
Okay, so if debt is largely a trap, what's the actual path forward? Dave Ramsey offers his baby steps. He calls it a proven plan for financial fitness, right? And he talks about gazelle intensity.
That's it. Gazelle intensity, like you're running from a cheetah. You need that desperate, focused energy to attack debt.
Okay, so what are the steps?
The baby steps are a clear, structured progression. They're designed for maximum psychological and financial impact. Step 1, save a starter emergency fund. $1,000, or maybe $500 if your household income is under $20K.
Just a small buffer.
Exactly. Your immediate shield against life's little rains. Stops you going back into debt for minor emergencies. Step 2, pay off all consumer debt using the debt snowball.
The snowball. How does that work again?
You list all your debts except the house, smallest balance to largest, regardless of the interest rate. You attack the smallest one with every spare penny you have. Once that's gone,
Yeah.
you take all the money you were paying on it and roll it onto the next smallest debt. Creates momentum. This involves stopping all borrowing cold turkey, cutting up the credit cards, the famous plastectomy.
Plastectomy, I like that. Okay, what's step 3?
Once all that consumer debt is totally gone, then you fully fund your emergency savings. 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses. Keep it liquid, easy to access, like in a money market account. That's your real financial fortress.
Right. Debt-free except the house, fully funded emergency funds.
Okay.
So once you've done that, the focus shifts, right, towards actively growing wealth, making money work for you.
Exactly. This is where Ramsey's later baby steps start to align really nicely with the investment principles from Kiyosaki and Stanley.
How so?
Well, Kiyosaki famously advises to mind your own business. Now, this doesn't mean quit your job tomorrow.
Okay.
It means keep your daytime job, pay the bills, but simultaneously start acquiring real assets on the side.
What kind of assets?
He lists things like businesses that don't require your physical presence to run, stocks, bonds, income-generating real estate. Remember the distinction from the personal home?
Yeah.
Royalties from intellectual property, patents, things that generate cash flow. And what's fascinating here is Kiyosaki's emphasis on the power of corporations.
The tax advantages.
Primarily, yes. Beyond limiting personal risk, they offer significant tax advantages. Legitimate business expenses, maybe travel for a board meeting, certain vehicle costs, if used for the business, can often be paid with pre-tax dollars. Now look, this isn't about tax evasion. It's about understanding financial literacy, understanding how the wealthy legally structure their finances to maximize their advantage. It's a key piece often missed by people stuck in just the employee mindset.
It's interesting, though. Kiyosaki talks a lot about actively acquiring assets, even using corporations. But Ramsey, he seems to steer people towards maybe a more passive approach for long-term wealth building.
That's a good observation. Ramsey's focus, for most people anyway, is on consistent long-term investing, usually in growth stock mutual funds.
Okay, what are those exactly?
Basically, funds that invest mainly in companies whose earnings and revenue are expected to grow faster than average. The goal is to significantly boost your capital over time. He advises doing this within tax-advantaged retirement accounts, like Roth IRAs and 401k.
And he mentions a specific return target, right?
He often targets a 12% average historical return. Now, that sounds high, but is roughly what the S&P 500 index has averaged over many decades, something like 11.67% over 80-plus years. It shows the long-term power of market compounding.
So he's emphasizing simplicity, maybe avoiding the complexities of Kiyosaki's active investing in corporations.
I think so, yeah. Especially for someone just starting out or who doesn't want to be deeply involved in active management. It's a more hands-off, rely on the market approach.
So it really sounds like there are different paths. Depends on your risk tolerance, how active you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
One isn't necessarily better, but they definitely cater to different mindsets, right?
Absolutely.
Which really highlights the importance of financial education and, critically, who you listen to. Kiyosaki stresses that your mind is your greatest asset.
And Ramsey reinforces this. He says you should always manage your own money. But he strongly encourages surrounding yourself with a team of smart advisors, as a CPA, an attorney, an investment pro.
But with a condition, right?
Yes. They must be able to explain complex issues clearly to you.
Huh?
He sees them as having the heart of a teacher. They're counsel, he says, not daddies, making decisions for you. You're still in charge.
Right.
And Stanley's Millionaire Next Door research. It shows that pause, those prodigious accumulators, they invest time first in finding quality advisors. They treat them almost like applicants for a business role. They want the best advice, but they maintain control.
Okay, we've covered a lot today about how to build wealth, how to avoid the traps. But let's just zoom out for a second. What's the ultimate goal here? The vision. When Kiyosaki and Ramsey talk about financial independence, what does that truly mean for someone's life beyond just the numbers?
Well, Kiyosaki, he borrows a definition from Buckminster Fuller. He defines wealth as a person's ability to survive for X number of days without physically working.
Ah, so it's about time, not just dollars.
Exactly. It's not about having a specific amount in the bank. It's about your assets generating enough cash flow passively to cover your monthly expenses indefinitely. You're no longer dependent on a job for survival. Your money is working harder than you are.
So it's not about being rich in that flashy sense, but about being truly free. Free from the necessity of trading your time for money. That's a powerful distinction.
It really is.
And Ramsey calls this his pinnacle point, doesn't he? That moment when your money makes more than you do.
That's the phrase. He loves to emphasize that money is an incredible worker. Works 24/7, never gets sick, never gets pregnant, never gets disabled. It just keeps compounding if you let it. It's a powerful concept to really grasp.
Okay, so that's the ideal. When you reach that point, Ramsey talks about 3 good uses for money.
That's right. Fun, invest, and give. He absolutely encourages having fun, but only after you can truly afford it without messing up your financial freedom.
Right.
He tells a story about finally getting a Jaguar, but only years after becoming wealthy again, when it wasn't some kind of idol or status symbol, but just a deserved enjoyment.
That makes sense.
And it raises an important question for all of us, what kind of person will you be when you have wealth? Ramsey notes that wealth will make you more of what you are.
How so?
If you're generous, you'll likely be more generous. If you're, well, a jerk, you'll probably be the king of jerks. Wealth itself isn't inherently evil, he argues, but it definitely comes with great responsibility.
And Stanley offers a crucial, almost kind of heartbreaking warning here, doesn't he? About economic outpatient care.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
That's where affluent parents give substantial financial gifts, subsidies, to their adult children. His research clearly shows this often weakens them.
Weakens them.
Makes
Well,
them dependent, often turns them into hyperconsumers because they haven't learned to earn and manage it themselves. And ironically, his data showed the most economically productive adult children often received less financial aid from their parents,
Wow.
while the least productive often received the lion's share. It can perpetuate a cycle of financial dependency instead of fostering independence.
That really seems to reinforce the idea that the struggle to become economically self-sufficient is actually incredibly important.
It is. It's not just about the money you end up with. That struggle helps individuals overcome fears, build courage, resilience, problem-solving skills.
Character, really.
Character, exactly. Stanley connects this to Ray Kroc the McDonald's founder, who actively sought out courageous franchise owners, people willing to be judged purely on their own performance, proving their drive, not relying on handouts. That struggle often forges the very character needed for true, sustainable financial success.
So let's try and connect all these threads. What's the actionable takeaway for you, our listener listening right now? We've covered a lot. The critical importance of distinguishing assets from liabilities.
Huge.
The immense power of behavior over just knowing stuff.
That 80-20 rule.
The insidious dangers and myths around debt. The necessity of a structured plan like the baby steps. And the profound impact of, well, frugality and self-reliance on your journey.
It seems clear, doesn't it? Financial freedom isn't about finding some magical shortcut or hidden secret. It's really about discipline, continuous financial education, consistent effort, and making intentional, informed choices day after day. Stanley's research really drives this home. He reminds us that it's much easier in America to earn a lot than it is to accumulate wealth if we don't actively control our consumption and make those intentional choices.
So the choice is yours, really. Are you going to earn to spend, keep running in the rat race? Or will you earn to truly build lasting wealth?
That's the fundamental question.
So as you reflect on today's deep dive, maybe ask yourself, what old advice are you still following, maybe without even thinking about it, that might be holding your financial genius back? And maybe more importantly, what one habit, just one, starting today, can you change to begin your climb out of that rat race and toward your own pinnacle point? The path is laid out by folks like these. Now it's really time to take action. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something I bet many of you feel deep down, that feeling. Trading away huge chunks of your life, like over 70,000 hours in a career, they say all for. Well, what exactly at retirement? It's like running this incredibly long race, but you're not even sure if the prize is worth it. We get told this one story about money, work, retirement.
Right, the standard path.
Exactly. But what if that story is just, well, old or incomplete? What if there's actually a totally different way, maybe even a faster way to feel financially free?
That is precisely what we're exploring today. We want to pull back the curtain on some, let's say, radical but proven strategies, ways to get financially independent, maybe not just at 65, but potentially, decades sooner.
Decades. Wow.
Yeah. And it's not just about piling up cash. It's a bigger shift, moving from money controlling you to you controlling your money. And that frees up your time, your actual life, time to build something more fulfilling, whatever that means to you. It's transformation, really.
Okay, so that's the promise. Let's first tackle the reality most people face, this slow lane idea. It feels like a 50-year gamble, doesn't it? Get the job, climb the ladder, save a bit. And maybe, if the market plays nice, you retire okay when you're old. But what's the real cost?
The cost is huge and often hidden. The tough truth is, financial freedom on that path, it usually arrives late in life. And even then, you're kind of dependent on stuff you can't control, like the stock market's mood swings or the economy taking a dive.
Yeah.
This slow lane, it has a specific formula. Wealth, your job income plus market investments. Pretty simple. But the big flaw, time. Time is basically the warden keeping you locked in for decades.
Time is a warden. That really hits home. And you mentioned market investments, like the S&P 500. Can you just quickly break that down for anyone listening?
Sure. The S&P 500, it's just a list, basically. An index tracking 500 of the biggest U.S. companies. People use it as a kind of barometer for the whole U.S. stock market.
Yeah.
For the slow lane timeline, imagine putting just $1,000 into the S&P 500 back in 1940. By 2011, with compounding, you'd have over $1.3 million. Sounds amazing.
It does, but
You'd be 91 years old, celebrating your millions at 91. That's the kind of timescale we're often talking about with the traditional approach.
91. Okay, that definitely puts things in perspective. And this leads to something really eye-opening from our sources.
Yeah.
The paradox of practice. What's that about?
The paradox of practice. It's critical. It points out how many financial gurus, the experts, they preach this long, slow path. Save diligently, invest small bits for 40, 50 years.
Right, the standard advice.
But then you look at how they actually got rich. It's often totally different, much faster. They built businesses, sold courses, created scalable platforms. They didn't usually get wealthy just by putting money in their 401k for 50 years.
So they're saying one thing but did another. What should we take away from that? How should we filter financial advice knowing this?
It means you need to be critical. Always look at the model someone's selling versus the one they used. Their advice isn't necessarily bad, but it might not be the quickest route to the kind of freedom they have now. So for you, listening, Be discerning. Does their actual path align with your goal of getting free sooner? Don't just follow blindly. Question it.
That's a really important point. Okay, so let's shift gears to something that sounds, well, transformative. Redefining money itself, the idea that money is life energy. Can you unpack that?
It's such a powerful reframe because it makes money personal, tangible, not just numbers on a screen.
Hmm.
Think about it. You trade hours of your one finite life for every single dollar. That money represents your time, your energy, your skills, a piece of you.
Wow.
And when you see it that way, everything changes. Every purchase, every dollar earned, every hour worked gets reevaluated. It's not just about budgeting, it's about making your life energy count.
That is a game changer. Okay, so if money is life energy, the next step is figuring out your real hourly wage, right? Not just what's on the paycheck.
Exactly. Your real wage accounts for all the hidden costs of having that job. We're talking commute time, gas money, maybe public transport costs, the clothes you have to buy for work, even those expensive dinners or vacations you take just to de-stress from the job.
Oh yeah, the recovery spending.
Precisely. One guy, Mark H., tracked everything. He found nearly half his income was just going towards supporting the job itself.
Half. That's insane. That's a huge chunk of life energy just gone.
It's shocking, right? And that kind of clarity is incredibly motivating. It also helps you spot what the sources call gazingis pins. Love that term.
Zynga's pins. Hey, what are they? How do we find them?
They're those things you buy almost on autopilot, out of habit or because everyone else does or because society kind of pushes you, not because they genuinely make your life better.
Like that subscription you forgot about.
Exactly. Or maybe, like for me, years ago, it was constantly buying expensive clothes for the office, more about image than actual need or joy. That was a gazingas pin for me. Want to find yours? Try this. Track every penny for a week, then ask for each thing. Did this truly add value, or was it just automatic? You'll likely be surprised.
I think I already know a few of mine. That fancy coffee maker I never use.
Right.
Okay, so if we're ready to stop trading life energy unconsciously, what are the practical steps, the levers we can pull?
Right. The sources point to three main levers for speeding things up. Make more money, save more of it, and spend less strategically. The issue with a lot of standard advice, it focuses almost entirely on cutting expenses, which is important, but
But you can only cut so much.
exactly. You can only cut back so far before life feels, well, miserable. There's a limit.
Yeah, cutting out every single latte gets old fast. So the real magic happens when you work all three levers at the same time.
That's the key. Working them all simultaneously. Look at Grant Sabatier. Reached $1 million in just 5 years. Incredible.
5 years.
He hit all three levers hard. He aggressively boosted his income, not just his job. He started companies, had multiple side hustles, and at the same time, he seriously optimized his spending, managing to save like 25% up to sometimes 80% of his income. It wasn't one thing, it was the synergy. All three, full throttle.
Okay, that's incredibly inspiring. Let's dig into that first lever then. Maximizing income. The fast lane approach. That sounds like it starts with, maybe surprisingly, your current job. Hacking the 9 to 5.
That's right. Don't just quit your job tomorrow. Use it strategically. Think of your job as like a base camp. It gives you benefits, connections, maybe skills, and steady income while you build other things.
Okay, how do you hack it?
Know your market value. Research it. Then negotiate raises effectively. Timing is key, like after a big win. Constantly upgrade your skills. Take on projects that make you more valuable. One person mentioned the sources went from making $50 a year to over $300 carry, mostly through side hustles they built while still employed.
$50K to $300.
Yeah.
That's massive. And beyond the day job, this fast lane idea is about breaking the link between time and money,
Yeah.
right? Not just trading hours for dollars anymore.
Exactly. Most jobs have a ceiling based on hours. The fast lane is about building systems, business systems, that make money without needing your constant time input, creating assets that work for you.
Got it. And side hustles are a huge part of that. But not just for pocket money. It's about thinking like a business owner, finding niches. How do you price things then?
Pricing is crucial. It's not just about your effort. It's about skill, demand in your niche, the perceived value you offer, and yeah, what the client can actually pay. Like a basic website template, maybe $500 for a small local shop, but a highly customized, results-driven site for a big company, that could be $50,000.
Wow.
Yeah, not because it took 100 times the hours, but because the value to the bigger company is perceived as much higher, and they can afford it. It's value-based.
Value, not just hours.
Yeah.
And this leads to passive income, the money trees that grow without constant watering. What kinds are there?
Great question. These are systems designed for leverage. Our sources break them down. 1, rental systems. Classic real estate, renting out property, or even leasing equipment. You build or buy the asset once, it pays you repeatedly.
Makes sense.
2, computer software systems. Think websites, apps, digital courses, hugely scalable. Create it once, sell it millions of times.
Yeah.
Like Samantha, we read about her camping gear company. Mostly automated via Amazon. Makes $5 a month, works just a few hours. That's the system.
Nice.
3, content systems. Blogs, books, YouTube, courses again. Create valuable content once. It keeps earning. And 4, distribution systems. This is bigger, not just selling stuff, but creating the system for moving products, like building a franchise or your own network marketing structure, not just joining someone else's. You own the pipeline.
Building the machine, not just being a part of it.
Yeah.
And behind all this, there's the law of affection. Sounds a bit theoretical.
It's actually pretty intuitive. It basically says your impact and therefore your income potential depends on 2 things: scale and magnitude.
Scale and magnitude.
Yeah. How many people do you help? That's scale. And how much do you help them? That's magnitude. Think of it like ripples. Drop a bigger stone, solve a bigger problem magnitude into a wider pond, reach more people scale. You get bigger ripples, bigger impact, bigger potential reward. Businesses solving real widespread needs, they win. People vote with their wallets for solutions they value.
Scale and magnitude. Got it.
Yeah.
So we've juiced the income. But even with money pouring in, you still need to manage it, right? Those other 2 levers, expenses and savings, it's not about being cheap. It's about finding your enough.
Exactly that. It's figuring out what stuff truly adds value versus what's just stuff, noise, clutter. There's this idea of the fulfillment curve. Getting more things makes you happier up to a point. Then it levels off, and eventually, more stuff actually makes you less happy. Stress, clutter, maintenance.
Been there.
Right. So we're aiming for that sweet spot. Enough. What enhances life without the extra weight?
So how do we find enough? What are some smart ways to cut back without feeling deprived? This creative frugality.
The smart move is hitting the big things first, where most of the money goes. That's usually housing like a third of the budget for many people. Then transportation, maybe 15%. And food, around 12.5%.
Big 3.
Exactly. So, strategies. House hacking is popular. Buy a duplex or a place with extra rooms, rent them out, maybe cover your whole mortgage, live free. Others do house sitting, live rent-free while traveling. Or travel hacking using credit card points strategically. Some people we read about visited like 20-plus countries over 7 years, barely paid for flights.
That's amazing. And it's not just the big stuff. It's also questioning the small, everyday purchases.
Absolutely. Make it a habit. Ask yourself, is this dollar worth more to me now or invested for my future freedom? Quantify it. Someone calculated every $25 saved was buying them a day of freedom later. Seeing that trade-off makes it way easier to skip the impulse buy.
That puts it in concrete terms. Okay. And on the savings and investing side, once the income's up and expenses are trimmed.
Priority 1, kill high-interest debt. Anything over, say, 15%. Paying that off is usually your best guaranteed return. Get rid of it before you invest heavily elsewhere.
Makes sense.
Priority 2, always, always, always get your company's 401k match if they offer one. It's free money, a 100% return instantly. Don't leave it on the table.
Free money's good.
Yep. Then for core investing, keep it simple. Low-cost index funds. Even Warren Buffett advises this for most people. Passive, diversified, cheap. The know-nothing investor, he says, can beat most pros this way.
Wow. Okay. Index funds.
And remember compounding. Starting early, even small amounts, makes a huge difference over time. That $100 left alone for 40 years at 10% grows to over $5,300. Add just $1 a month, suddenly it's almost $11,700. That first $100 is the hardest grind. After that, compounding really takes over.
That's powerful motivation.
And for those really gunning for early retirement, there are advanced things like HSA's health savings accounts, uses investment tools, and Roth IRA conversion ladders to access funds early without penalties. But maybe that's a deeper dive for another time.
Definitely sounds like it. So it's clear this isn't just about spreadsheets and tactics.
Right.
It's a whole mindset shift, isn't it? This fast lane mindset.
Absolutely. It's fundamental. It's a way of seeing the world guided by what the sources call commandments, like need. Focus on what the market needs, not just your own cool idea.
Yeah.
Solve real problems.
Right.
Time. Break the link between your time and your income. Build systems, automation, scale. Think big. Can your idea reach millions? If not, it probably won't make millions.
Global reach.
Control. Own your thing, your business, your platform. Don't just be a cog or a hitchhiker in someone else's system where you have no say, like some MLMs potentially.
Okay.
Entry. If it's super easy to start, expect tons of competition. You need to be exceptional or find a niche with higher barriers. Execution. Ideas are everywhere. Making it happen is rare. Burn the detailed plans. Start doing. Get feedback. Adapt.
Execution is key.
Learning. Never stop. Read, learn skills, adapt. Use dead time toilet university, commute university, always be learning. And finally, failure as wisdom. Take smart risks. Failure isn't the end, it's tuition. Learn from it. Get wiser. Don't let it stop you.
That's a powerful framework.
Yeah.
And the goal of all this, the strategies, the
Yeah.
mindset, it leads to the crossover point, right? That magic number.
That's the moment. When your monthly income from investments is more than your monthly expenses, you're technically free, financially independent.
Must be an amazing feeling.
It is, but it also brings, well, adjustments. Crossover point jitters, some call it, like, what now? You have to redefine your purpose sometimes, beyond just working. We heard about Michelle, FI at 28 from her blog. Still loves the work, but now travels constantly, works maybe 10 hours a week. By choice. Anita left a high-stress legal job at 33, free to pursue real passions. Justin, the engineer, realized way before 65 he was set, shifted his whole life focus.
So it opens up possibilities, but you need to know what you want beyond just not working.
Exactly. That's why building natural wealth is just as important.
Natural wealth.
Yeah, things like strong friendships, skills you enjoy using, community connection, health, purpose. Money buys freedom, but natural wealth fills that freedom with meaning and joy. You need both. Financial freedom is the runway. Natural wealth gives you the wings to actually enjoy the flight.
That's a beautiful way to put it. So for everyone listening, after this deep dive, remember that feeling. Trading 70,000 hours for what? This shows us the what doesn't have to be a mystery. It can be a life you design. Financial freedom isn't just for the lucky ones. It seems possible for anyone willing to, question the old ways, adopt these ideas, and stick with it. It's a transformation.
So the final thought is this. If money truly is your life energy, and time is the one thing you can't get back, what choices will you make, starting today, to build the freedom you really want? What's one thing you can question or change right now to reclaim just a little bit more of that precious life energy?
Have you ever felt like you're surrounded by people who just don't seem to click? Or maybe wondered why some conversations just drain you while others feel, well, effortless?
Yeah, that feeling of just not connecting sometimes.
Exactly. And what if understanding yourself and others could be simplified? Maybe down to something intuitive, like knowing their color.
Or maybe you're always looking for that edge, right? That shortcut to really leading effectively, getting things done.
But you just feel swamped by all the information out there. It's overwhelming.
Totally.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive. We're looking into a really powerful collection of insights on leadership, human behavior, and personal effectiveness.
We're pulling together some strategic nuggets, from foundational leadership ideas right through to modern behavioral psychology.
All aimed at giving you a clearer, more actionable map for navigating, well, your professional world and your personal life, too.
Right. Our mission here, really, is to equip you with practical frameworks, things you can actually use to understand different personality types, build genuine influence, and make those strategic choices that drive success.
We'll be digging into why perception often seems to trump reality, how small changes can actually lead to massive results.
And some of those uncomfortable but really essential truths about personal growth. Think of it like getting a new toolkit.
A toolkit to help you gain knowledge quickly, find those aha moments.
Leave feeling not just informed, but actually empowered to put these ideas into practice, ready to jump in.
Let's do it. Okay, so let's unpack this with honestly, a remarkably insightful tool for understanding the people around us.
Right. The sources talk about this system for behavioral differences, often called DISC.
DISC, yeah. It categorizes primary types using colors: red, yellow, green, and blue. And it's not just about labeling people.
No, definitely not. It's more a framework, right, for predicting and, importantly, adapting to different behavioral patterns. Makes your interactions way more effective.
And the idea itself, it goes back a bit, doesn't it? William Moulton Marston.
Yeah, his work originally, then developed further by organizations like TTI Success Insights.
And the origin story one author shares is quite telling. It started after observing the CEO, Stir.
Oh, the one who called his employees idiots.
That's the one. Apparently, he even had a literal warning light outside his office that turned red when he was in the building.
Wow. That really highlights how a lack of understanding can just create these incredibly toxic, unproductive environments, doesn't it?
It really does.
But what's striking here, I think, is the core idea. we can't fundamentally change how other people operate their sort of core wiring.
Right, you can't force them to be different.
But we absolutely can adjust how we choose to interact with them. This system helps shift us from, frustration to respect.
Allows us to adapt our communication style to connect better with theirs.
Exactly. It's about understanding not just what people do, but the underlying why, their motivations, their preferences.
Okay, so let's jump into these colors. First up, the reds. The dominance type.
Ah, the reds. Think high energy.
Loud, incredibly energetic, yeah, and fiercely results-oriented. The example was a CEO, dynamic in meetings.
But would flatten anyone in his way during a company soccer game.
Exactly. It paints a picture. Reds apparently detest inactivity. They prioritize urgent action.
Even if it means maybe rushing things or cutting corners sometimes.
Seems like it. And their stress points? A lack of authority, or crucially, no immediate tangible results. They need to see progress now.
That CEO example is vivid, and it's important for you, listening, to remember that while reds are often groundbreaking, really decisive,
They get stuff done.
they do, but that competitive drive can sometimes come across as, well, belligerent, maybe even arrogant.
So how do you deal with that?
Well, they thrive on direct, frank communication, no beating around the bush, and they're okay with conflict.
So if you're trying to influence a red, focus on the bottom line.
Precisely. The results, the
Yeah.
speed of execution, forget the emotional fluff, get straight to the point.
Okay. But not everyone operates like that. Some find their power more in connection, enthusiasm. Which brings us to the yellows.
Right, the yellow's the inducement type. They influence through their optimism, their energy.
Infectious enthusiasm, almost.
Yeah.
They rally people around possibilities.
These are your natural optimists.
Yeah.
The life of the party types, always ensuring the atmosphere is, buzzing.
They seem to have friends everywhere, always spotting new opportunities. I love the story about the yellow friend after a car accident.
Oh, yeah, the one where the door was jammed.
Yeah, he couldn't get out the driver's side, but just shrugged and said, "It was fine, I just got out the other door."
Classic yellow. Sees the workaround, not the obstacle.
Totally.
But that boundless enthusiasm, it can have its downsides. Yellows often struggle with details and maybe deep listening.
Right, because they're already thinking about the next exciting thing.
Exactly. So they might forget appointments, deadlines. Their mind just leaps ahead.
So giving feedback to a yellow needs care.
Definitely. It's vital to frame it carefully. Explain you're addressing a specific behavior, not criticizing them personally.
Because they might take it personally otherwise.
Their social focus means they can, yeah. So be clear, it's not you, it's this specific thing.
Got it. Okay, moving on. Greens. The stability or submission type.
Yeah, stability or submission. They prioritize harmony, steady progress. They're motivated by supporting others, keeping things predictable.
Thoughtful, helpful, value consensus. Sounds like the peacekeepers.
Very much so. They'll often be the first to volunteer help, saying, choose me, because they don't want to leave anyone struggling.
We probably all know someone like that, right? That colleague who always says yes, even when they're totally swamped.
Absolutely. Which raises that interesting question. Why are greens often so resistant to change?
Is it just stubbornness?
Not usually malice, no. It's more that they're profoundly uncomfortable with friction, with conflict. They prefer the known comfort of old problems.
Over the uncertainty of trying something new.
Exactly. And if you don't handle change carefully with them, you might get silent resistance. They tend to internalize frustration.
So the key is creating a safe space for them, making sure they feel supported enough to voice concerns when something new is proposed.
Precisely. That support is crucial for greens.
Okay. And finally, the blues, analytical or compliance type.
Ah, the blues. Your detail people. Logical thinkers.
The IKEA example was perfect. A blue would read the manual cover to cover first.
While the rest of us are halfway through assembly with leftover screws.
Totally. They prefer written communication, precision.
Yeah.
They can seem a bit cold or distant sometimes.
Yeah, because they don't really engage in small talk or, casual emotional stuff. It's not their focus.
They prioritize facts over feelings. Meticulously prepared.
Absolutely. Often working with checklists, mental or physical, they might seem quiet in a meeting.
But they're taking it all in.
Observing, recording everything. Their stress response can be becoming overly pedantic, insisting on absolute precision, becoming a bit of a know-it-all.
So they need time and space to analyze things properly.
Yes. If you want to influence a blue, bring data. Bring logic. Bring a clear, well-structured argument. Don't rely on charm or enthusiasm.
Okay, so we've got red, yellow, green, blue. What does this all really mean for you, listening? It's not about putting people in boxes, is it?
Not at all. It's about gaining strategic communication leverage, understanding these patterns.
It can fundamentally change how you interact with that challenging colleague, maybe a family member, even how you approach your own tendencies.
It's about adapting your style to meet their needs for much better outcomes. Less friction, more connection.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture of leadership, moving beyond just understanding others.
To mastering oneself, that's paramount. Leonardo da Vinci said it, right? One can have no smaller or greater mastery than mastery of oneself.
Such a powerful quote. And this pillar involves real self-awareness, consistent self-control.
And purposeful self-conduct. How you actually behave.
And here's where it gets really fundamental. Character and trust. They're the absolute bedrock.
Stephen M. Covey makes that point so clearly. Low trust isn't just like a soft problem. It costs real time and money.
The post-9/11 airport security example that hits home. All those extra layers, that inefficiency, born from a breakdown in trust.
Exactly. And as a leader, the responsibility is squarely on you to take that first step. Extend trust first, and then consistently earn theirs in return. It's non-negotiable.
That's a big shift for some leaders. Extending trust first.
It can be. But a key takeaway here is that while trust often builds slowly, pebble by pebble.
A really high level of trust can actually withstand a significant mistake. You mentioned Billy Graham's view on Watergate.
Yeah, the idea that deep trust allows for grace and authenticity, including sharing your own failures, your struggles, that builds trust profoundly, especially for public figures.
It humanizes you, embracing that brokenness, as Max Lucado put it, walking with an occasional limp rather than a continual strut.
I love that phrase. It shows you're real.
So, okay, it makes sense, be human, be vulnerable, but how do we actively cultivate this inner strength, this trustworthy character?
Well, self-discipline is crucial because, as Rory Vaden says with his pain paradox,
Everything worthwhile is uphill. I remember that.
right, short-term difficulty often leads to long-term ease, but it's not just about brute willpower.
No, what else?
It's about strategically fueling that discipline,
Yeah.
using your inherent strengths, your passions, to make the uphill climb easier, more sustainable.
Okay, like channeling energy where it flows more naturally.
Exactly. And we can learn a lot from the habit loop here. Think about the author's father quitting smoking.
The lollipops.
Yeah, replacing the cigarettes with lollipops. It highlights focusing on a replacement behavior, not just trying to stop something cold turkey.
Yeah.
Cue, routine, reward.
And it's not always grand gestures, is it? Small things matter, like getting enough sleep.
Hugely important. It's not just for health or productivity. Sleep fundamentally recharges that finite resource of self-discipline, of willpower. You can't run on empty.
Absolutely. Which ties into consistency. It might not feel sexy or give instant results.
But it compounds massively over time.
The author's story from age 23 really stuck with me. Choosing the hard work of preparing thoroughly for speaking gigs instead of just winging it.
Yeah, that single decision, practiced consistently.
Yeah.
It paid off for decades. That's the power of compounding discipline.
So the question for you listening becomes, what's one discipline, maybe in an area where you already have some strength, that you can commit to practicing consistently?
What small daily habit could you put in place starting today? Something to ensure you're actively growing, not just, getting older.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. From inner work to leading others, making a tangible impact.
Right. The sources bring up John C. Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. It starts with position, just having the title.
But emphasizes moving beyond that to permission, where people follow because they want to, then production, getting results together, and people development.
Exactly, investing in others. The author shared his own journey, started with that big realization: everything rises and falls on leadership.
Which pushed him to intentionally grow his own leadership capacity. It wasn't accidental.
And what really sets effective leaders apart here is vision, that indispensable quality of seeing more and before others.
The Wright brothers' story is stark, isn't it? Their own father, a bishop, just couldn't envision humans flying.
It shows how powerful and sometimes rare true vision is. It's not just a plan on paper, it's the force that genuinely pulls you forward. It provides the why.
Okay, great vision. But how do you make it actually happen? How do you turn it into reality?
It always starts with priorities. Ruthless prioritization.
because we face those priority pressures, right? We tend to overestimate how important most things actually are.
Totally. We get bogged down in the urgent but unimportant. This is where the Pareto principle, that classic 80-20 rule, is your best friend.
Focus on the vital few, the 20% of efforts that yield 80% of the results.
And be willing to eliminate or delegate the rest. It's liberating.
And critically, leaders need margin, that white space in their lives.
Yes. Essential for reflective thinking, for creative problem solving, just for recharging your energy. Tony Schwartz highlights this. Strategic renewal isn't a luxury.
It directly boosts productivity and performance.
Yep.
Without margin, you're just constantly reacting,
Right.
not actually leading.
Exactly. You're caught in the whirlwind.
Okay, now for a really vital insight. Leading change. This is where so many leaders stumble.
It's tough because people don't naturally resist change itself.
They resist being changed.
Yeah.
That's a huge distinction.
It really is. The story of Wilt Chamberlain giving up the super effective granny shot in basketball,
Just because he felt embarrassed doing it, even though it worked.
it perfectly illustrates that deep psychological hurdle. Ego, familiarity, fear of looking foolish. It all plays in.
So change isn't just an event, like flipping a switch.
No, it's a process. It moves through phases from that'll never work to maybe to eventually. I thought it was a good idea all along.
Huh.
Seen that happen. We all have. And connecting this to the bigger picture, leaders need to be prepared to outfail the competition. Meaning embrace a culture where trying things, experimenting, and yes, sometimes failing is okay. It's how you learn and improve. Think Toyota's Kaizen philosophy.
Continuous improvement through small, cumulative suggestions.
Exactly. Companies like Booking.com, Amazon, they credit their success to this fail faster mindset. Learn from every experiment, every failure.
Failure isn't the opposite of success, then. It's part of the path.
It's a critical stepping stone. Provides invaluable feedback.
That's a major mindset shift for many. And it leads right into this idea of don't be an ostrich.
Right. Avoiding uncomfortable realities, burying your head in the sand. It's described as a death wish in business and life.
The Titanic example is chilling. Some passengers just ignored the warnings until it was too late.
Facing those hard truths, however difficult, is the only way forward. Problems, actually, when you handle them well.
They introduce you to yourself.
To yourself, definitely. To others, you see who steps up. And crucially, to opportunities you wouldn't have seen otherwise.
The problem promise that they make is better.
Exactly. The author shared his own big failure early on, his first leadership role, where he basically trained no one to replace him.
And that became his breakthrough.
His biggest breakthrough. It led him to dedicate, 45 years to equipping millions of leaders globally. It requires that whatever it takes mindset.
Where failure isn't the end, but fuel. Feedback for the next attempt.
Constant companion of success, really.
Okay, now let's talk about how your message actually lands, because this is where things get really interesting and maybe counterintuitive.
Yeah, we often think it's the practical stuff, the objective value that sells an idea or product.
But the sources argue pretty strongly otherwise. The author's own marketing agency. Its success wasn't just tied to the services it offered.
It was boosted by a useless absurdity, that giant blue slide in their office.
Right. And Tesla, operating with basically a $0 advertising budget, defined partly by its audacious, almost absurd vision and actions.
So why does this work? It seems illogical.
Well, the argument is that meaning is often conveyed by things we do that are not obviously in our short-term self-interest. It taps into psychology.
Like these psychological moonshots, small investments that drastically improve perception.
Exactly. Even if they don't add much objective function, Uber's little moving car icon on the map.
Reduces that idle unhappiness, that anxiety of just waiting and not knowing.
Or the 7-minute miracle cleaning of Japanese bullet trains. Does it make the train objectively cleaner than, say, a 10-minute clean? Maybe not.
But it tackles hygiene uncertainty. It gives passengers huge psychological comfort and signals incredible efficiency and care.
That's fascinating. Perception over reality. Again.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the frame matters more than the picture.
Ah, the W. Whoop example. The CEO resisting adding a simple time display to their fitness tracker.
Because he believed it would shift the frame, the perception, from this elite health device.
To just another watch, even though telling time is objectively useful.
Sometimes adding features can actually decrease the psychological value. Wild.
It really makes you think. And it connects to the idea that your skills might feel worthless in one context.
But your context is incredibly valuable.
The author's marketing skills may be worth small fees for, say, a local bakery.
Suddenly valued at $8 million in the high-stakes context of a biotech IPO. Same skills, totally different context.
Or Joshua Bell, the world-class violinist.
Playing his priceless Stradivarius in a subway station and collecting, what, 50 bucks?
$52.17, yeah. It starkly shows how context dictates perceived value way more than just objective quality or skill.
Wow. Okay. And finally, in this world of just constant information overload, constant distraction,
You have got to fight for the first 5 seconds.
get their attention immediately. Drop the slow intros, the pleasantries.
Get straight to your most compelling promise, your most provocative point. Our brains are just bombarded.
You have moments to cut through the noise, tap into that need for relevance, and bypass decision fatigue. Make it count.
Absolutely crucial in today's world.
Okay. Wow. We've covered a huge amount of ground today.
Uh,
From recognizing those communication colors, red, yellow, green, blue,
to the absolute bedrock of character and trust, embracing that intentional, sometimes difficult personal growth.
making strategic priorities, using things like the 80-20 rule, effectively leading change by understanding resistance.
And even digging into the surprising power of perception, context, and psychological framing.
At its core, it feels like leadership is this continuous journey, doesn't it? Self-development, thoughtful, adaptive engagement with the world.
It really is. It's about developing that authentic leader within you, first and foremost, so you can better serve, connect with, and influence others in every part of your life.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener, as you wrap up this deep dive? Maybe consider just one person, professional, personal, doesn't matter whose color you feel you understand a bit better now.
And then think, what one small intentional adjustment could you make in your very next interaction with them? Maybe to improve communication, build a bit more trust, or just influence them more effectively.
Start there. One small step.
Yeah.
And just watch the ripple effect it might have. Have you ever found yourself stuck? Like you know exactly what you probably should be doing with your money, saving more, maybe investing, but somehow your actions just don't quite line up.
Oh, absolutely. It's a super common feeling.
Right. So today on the deep dive, we're going to try and cut through that. We're digging into some timeless wisdom from financial masters. We've pulled key insights from 3 really powerful sources.
Yep.
We've got Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich,
Yeah.
which is, pretty modern. Then Napoleon Hill's classic, Think and Grow Rich.
Foundational stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
And George S. Clason's The Richest Man in Babylon with those great parables. And look, our mission here isn't just to, summarize these books. We want to give you a shortcut, really. A way to get well-informed quickly on building wealth, tackling debt, and maybe most importantly, getting that winning mindset.
That's it.
We're aiming to show you how to build not just wealth, but what we're calling a rich life, whatever that means for you.
Exactly. Because it's so much more than just the numbers, isn't it? It's fascinating when you start to understand the psychology behind money and realizing that true wealth, it's really a journey. It's deeply rooted in your beliefs, not just some finish line you cross.
Right.
So yeah, we'll explore the practical steps, definitely, but also those powerful, sometimes kind of hidden beliefs that really support financial freedom.
Okay, let's break that down then. Lots of people know the right thing to do financially, but they just don't.
Yeah.
So what do these sources suggest is the real roadblock? Where does change actually start?
Well, what's really fascinating here is how much these invisible money scripts we carry around shape everything.
Invisible money scripts. Okay.
Yeah, they're like these deep-seated, often subconscious beliefs about money, maybe stuff you picked up as a kid, Money's the root of all evil, or, oh, I'll never be rich, or even, I work hard, I deserve this treat.
Right, things that just run in the background?
Exactly. And they can sabotage your best intentions without you even realizing it. Sethi in I Will Teach You to Be Rich, he puts it pretty bluntly, his core truth is, the problem and the solution is you.
Oof, direct.
It is, but it's not just about blame. The real insight is actually quite liberating, I think. It means you hold the keys.
Okay.
So making that internal shift isn't just important, it's basically the only real starting point for lasting change.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. Makes you look inward, doesn't it? And that internal drive, that fire you mentioned, Napoleon Hill talks a lot about that in Think and Grow Rich.
He does.
He calls it a burning desire and needing a definite purpose. Like it's almost magnetic, pulling you towards your goal.
Yeah.
He tells that incredible story about Dr. Gonzalez. This guy decided he needed $1 million for his college, within 36 hours.
Which sounds impossible.
Totally involved. But he did it just because he had that absolute, clear, unwavering intention. It's amazing.
It really is. And Clayson, in The Richest Man in Babylon, he offers this foundational principle that ties right into that mindset shift. It's so simple, but kind of profound. Pay yourself first.
Ah, the classic.
Right.
Ah,
But the real insight there, I think, isn't just save money. It's about changing how you see yourself, your financial identity.
how so?
Well, Arcad, the richest man in the story, he found that just by putting aside 1/10 of everything he earned, first off, he managed to get along just as well. He didn't really miss it.
Okay.
But more than that, he started to feel like richer. Money seemed to come to him more easily. Now, that wasn't magic. It was because he'd subconsciously started prioritizing his future. He started seeing himself as someone worthy of building wealth. It's a huge psychological shift.
That's a fantastic point. It's about identity, not just discipline.
Wow.
And this whole philosophy, it actually pushes back against those really restrictive budgets. The ones where you track every single coffee.
And the ones nobody sticks to for long.
Exactly.
Oh.
Instead, it leads to what Sethi calls conscious spending. The idea isn't tracking every penny, which, let's be honest, is tedious and most of us give up.
Right.
Instead, you automate your savings and investments first. Get that handled. Then you're free to, as he puts it, spend extravagantly on the things you love and cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't.
It's all about intentionality, designing your spending around what actually matters to you.
Yeah.
Think about his examples, like Jim. This guy moved to a smaller apartment, right? But he did it so he could free up cash for his passion, which was camping and biking.
So he made a trade-off based on his values.
Precisely. Or John, who consciously decided to spend $21,000 a year on going out, and he did it completely guilt-free.
Wow, that's a lot. But guilt-free because?
Because his savings were automated, his investments were happening, he knew his big goals were covered, so that spending was a conscious choice, aligned with his rich life.
Okay, I see.
Sethi gives these practical buckets for your take-home pay, like fixed costs, maybe 50–60%, investments around 10%, savings goals, maybe 5–10%, and then a pretty decent chunk, 20–35%, for guilt-free spending.
So it provides structure, but also freedom within that structure.
Exactly. It empowers you to make choices that feel good, that align with your values, instead of just feeling deprived all the time.
Okay, so mindset aligned, conscious spending plan in place. Now it's time to get into the nuts and bolts. And for a lot of people, that first big hurdle is debt. It can feel like this huge mountain blocking the view.
It really can, and it's quite striking, actually, when you dig into it, how many people don't even really know the full picture of their debt, like how much they actually owe or what it's costing them in interest.
Just kind of avoiding looking at it.
Sort of, yeah. I Will Teach You to Be Rich really highlights how dealing with debt is super psychological. He talks about people like Sean Wilkins and Sean Stewart who had great success using methods like the snowball method.
Right, paying off the smallest debt first.
Exactly. Now, mathematically, it might not always be the absolute fastest way if you have high interest debt elsewhere. But that psychological win you get from knocking out a debt completely, it builds incredible momentum.
Ah, so it helps you tackle those bigger invisible money scripts, maybe, the ones keeping you stuck.
Precisely. It gives
Yeah.
you that feeling of control and progress.
And The Richest Man in Babylon. It also really brings home the human side of debt, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not just the spreadsheet view.
Absolutely. The story of Dabasir, who started out as a slave, is so powerful. He felt he had the contemptible soul of a slave, his words, until he made that firm decision, that commitment to repay his debts no matter how long it took.
Correct.
His journey just proved that, quote, where the determination is, the way can be found. It's about reclaiming your dignity, your agency, not just your bank balance.
So for listeners feeling weighed down by debt, what are some concrete actions they could take, like today?
Okay, good question. For credit cards, the absolute baseline is paying on time every single time. That makes up about 35% of your credit score, so it's huge.
Non-negotiable.
Pretty much. But here's something from Sethi that surprises people. You can actually call your credit card companies. You can negotiate. Ask them to waive a late fee, or even ask them to lower your APR, your interest rate.
Really? Does that actually work?
Surprisingly often, especially if you've been a decent customer otherwise. Just asking that question can save you hundreds, maybe thousands over time. It's definitely worth a try.
Okay, that's a great practical tip. What about banking? It feels like another area where we just kind of stick with what we know, even if it's not great.
Totally. Inertia is powerful. Many of us stay with big traditional banks that might have annoying fees or clunky online services, just out of habit.
Yeah.
Sethi is pretty direct about this. He points to things like, the Wells Fargo scandals or lawsuits against TIAA, and basically says, believe companies when they show you who they truly are.
Meaning they might not have your best interest at heart.
All right, they're businesses.
Yeah.
So beyond just avoiding the really problematic ones, you should actively look for banks or credit unions that make your life easier.
Like online banks?
Often, yeah. Online banks like Schwab or good credit unions look for no fee accounts, no minimum balances, great digital tools, maybe even features like getting your direct deposit early. Stuff that makes managing money smooth, not a chore.
And what about interest rates on savings? Should we be constantly chasing the highest rate?
You know, Sethi argues against spending too much energy on that. He calls it rate chasing. Trying to squeeze out an extra 0.1% interest on your savings. It's like picking up pennies off the street.
Okay.
Your time and energy are much better spent focusing on the big wins, things that yield significantly more return.
But like smart investing.
Exactly. That's the next crucial piece of the puzzle.
Okay, great. So we've laid the foundation, cleared away some mental clutter, maybe started tackling debt. Now for the really exciting part.
Yeah.
How do we make our money actually work for us? Let's dive into what these books say about smart investing.
Yeah, this is where I Will Teach You to Be Rich really hits hard. It emphasizes the, almost unbelievable power of starting early. It all comes down to compound interest.
Right, earning interest.
Exactly. And the smart Sally Dumb Dan example he uses just drives it home. You have Sally, who starts investing at 35, invests for just 10 years, and then stops.
Okay.
Then you have Dan, who starts later at 45, but invests for twice as long, for 20 years, who ends up with more.
Intuition might say Dan because he invested for longer.
Right. But no, Sally, who started earlier but invested for only 10 years, ends up with $60,000 more than Dan.
Wow. Just from starting 10 years sooner.
Just from those extra 10 years of compounding at the beginning, the message is crystal clear. The next best time to invest is today. It really hammers home how much that early start matters, maybe more than we intuitively grasp.
That's a sobering thought if you haven't started, but also motivating, I guess. And The Richest Man in Babylon, it offers timeless wisdom, too, with its 5 laws of gold.
Ah, yes, the 5 laws, still so relevant.
They really are. They're not just like old proverbs. They're practical guidelines. Gold, it says, clings to the cautious owner who invests it wisely. It works hard for the wise owner. But crucially, it flees from people who invest in businesses they don't understand.
Get rich quick schemes.
Exactly. It slips away from those chasing impossible earnings, and it definitely runs away from tricksters and scam artists. It's a great reminder to stay grounded, do your homework, and avoid those too good-to-be-true promises.
That's such a key point, avoiding those schemes. And it leads nicely into a critical look at traditional financial experts.
Oh, interesting. What's the take there?
Well, data cited in I Will Teach You to Be Rich shows something pretty surprising to most people. The vast majority of professional fund managers consistently fail to beat the overall market average over the long term.
Really? But that's their whole job.
You'd think so, but the data is pretty clear. Plus, the high fees they charge can eat away a huge chunk of your returns, maybe as much as 30% over your lifetime.
30%, wow.
Yeah. So it becomes really essential to ask anyone giving you financial advice, are you a fiduciary?
A fiduciary, what does that mean exactly?
It means they are legally obligated to act solely in your best interest. It's like a doctor's oath, but for finance.
Okay.
That's different from someone who might just be a broker or advisor who can recommend products that pay them a higher commission, even if it's not the absolute best, lowest cost option for you. You need to know whose interests they're really serving.
Got it. So if most experts don't beat the market anyway, and some might have conflicting interests, what's the alternative for the average person who just wants to invest smartly without becoming a Wall Street guru?
The powerful and actually quite simple alternative is passive investing.
Passive investing.
Yeah, this deep dive strongly recommends automating your investments, setting up regular contributions into tax-advantaged accounts. Your 401k or equivalent workplace plan is usually the first stop, especially if there's an employer match that's free money.
Right, always take the match.
Always. Then a Roth IRA, which offers tax-free growth and withdrawals in retirement. And potentially a health savings account, an HSA, if you have a high-deductible health plan. Sethi calls the HSA a triple whammy because the money goes in tax-free, grows tax-free, and comes out tax-free for qualified medical expenses. It's an incredible tool.
So the goal is automate and take advantage of taxes.
Exactly. Simplify it, automate it, get the tax benefits, and remove emotion from the day-to-day decisions.
So is this like a set it and forget it? kind of strategy. We don't need to be watching the stock market every day.
Precisely. That's the beauty of it. You've got a couple of main options. You could choose something like a target date fund.
Okay, what's that?
It's basically a diversified fund that automatically adjusts its mix of stocks and bonds over time, becoming more conservative as you get closer to your target retirement year. Super simple, truly set it and forget it.
Convenient.
Very. Or if you want a little more control, you can build your own simple portfolio using low-cost index funds that track broad market indexes, like the S&P 500. Still very low maintenance.
And what about trying to, buy low and sell high? Timing the market.
Ah, the siren call of market timing. The studies highlighted in I Will Teach You to Be Rich are really stark on this. Trying to jump in and out of the market is incredibly difficult, even for professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Missing just the best 10 days of market performance over a couple of decades can literally cut your returns in half. Miss the best 30 days and your returns could be drastically lower, maybe even negative. It's just not worth the risk for most people. Consistency wins. Time in the market beats timing the market almost always.
Wow, okay, so consistency is key. What about those more exciting, maybe riskier investments, like buying individual stocks or getting into cryptocurrencies? Is there any room for that?
Sethi suggests thinking about that as fun money. Maybe allocate a small percentage of your overall portfolio, say 5%, maybe 10% max, to these more speculative bets.
Okay, a small slice.
Right. He acknowledges that, sure, sometimes it pays off spectacularly. He mentions a reader who turned a few thousand in Amazon stock into nearly $300,000. Amazing.
Incredible.
But he immediately follows up by mentioning companies like JDS Uniphase or Excite at Home, huge dot-com darlings that went straight to zero.
Ouch. Right. High risk, high reward, or high loss.
Exactly. And he has some pretty pointed words for what he calls brain-dead speculators, people jumping into things like crypto who, quote, don't understand blockchain or dismiss traditional fiat currency without really thinking critically.
So tread carefully there.
Very carefully. Keep it separate from your core long-term strategy. Consider it money you can afford to lose. It's speculation, not your foundation.
This all sounds great, really solid advice. But
Yeah.
what if someone listening feels like, I just don't have enough money coming in to even start doing this stuff?
Yeah.
It's easy to get discouraged, right? To fall into what Sethi calls the whiner trap.
It really is. It's easy to feel stuck if your income feels limited. But the focus here across these books is on what you can control.
Okay, so what can you control?
Well, I Will Teach You to Be Rich outlines 3 main ways to actively increase your income. First, negotiate your salary.
Ah, the dreaded negotiation.
It can be intimidating, but think about Rachel, one of his examples. She prepared, she asked, and she got a 28% raise in her base salary. That's life-changing money over time. It's a skill you can learn.
28%. Okay, that's huge. What else?
Second, look for a higher-paying job. Sometimes the biggest raise comes from moving companies. It might seem like a hassle, but updating your resume, networking a bit, it can lead to significant jumps in income.
Right. Don't just assume you're stuck where you are.
Exactly. And third, freelance work. This covers a huge range, it could be high-level consulting or using platforms like Uber or TaskRabbit or offering virtual assistant services, maybe even rewriting websites like one example he gives.
So finding ways to monetize skills or time outside the main job.
Precisely. The core idea isn't just what you do, it's making that conscious decision to value your time and skills and seek fair or even better compensation for them.
That's a powerful mindset shift in itself, isn't it? Valuing yourself and Think and Grow Rich. Gosh, it hammers home the idea of persistence, almost like it's a superpower.
Oh, constantly. The story of Edwin C. Barnes is just incredible. This guy had a burning desire to work with Thomas Edison, not just for him.
Okay.
He showed up with basically no money, got a menial job at Edison's company, and just persisted. For 5 years. He kept his goal in mind until an opportunity arose, and he eventually became Edison's partner selling the Ediphone.
5 years. That's dedication.
Isn't it? And Hill himself learned this lesson the hard way. He talks about stopping his gold prospecting efforts literally 3 feet from gold.
Oh.
Yeah. He said that failure taught him that a lack of persistence is, quote, a weakness common to the majority of men, but crucially, it is a weakness which may be overcome by effort.
Wow. That really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How many times might we give up just before the breakthrough?
Exactly. And the richest man in Babylon echoes this with a warning. Opportunity flees from procrastination.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. Taking action, even if it feels like a small step, is so much more important than waiting for the perfect conditions or having the entire plan mapped out. Delay is the enemy when it comes to building wealth.
So, bringing this all together, the ultimate goal seems to be creating a system, right? An almost invisible machine that handles your finances for you, freeing up your mental energy.
That's exactly it. Sethi talks about designing a system to automatically allocate your next $100. So when your paycheck comes in, it automatically flows where it needs to go.
Like,
Like first maybe to your 401k contribution, then to your checking account for bills, and then maybe automatically transfer to your Roth IRA, then to specific savings goal accounts, maybe paying off your credit card bill in full.
creating an automatic money flow.
Precisely. It takes the constant decision-making and willpower out of the equation. You set it up once, maybe tweak it occasionally, but mostly it just runs.
Which frees you from that constant background worry about money.
Completely. It's about building a robust system, not just relying on discipline day after day. Like Jenna Christensen, another example, said, once she automated her finances, she only needed to really review her investments a few times a year.
Imagine that, giving you back all that time and mental space for the actual rich life you're trying to build.
That's the goal. Less financial anxiety, more living.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From really getting your mindset right, tackling debt, shifting to conscious spending, then diving into smart, automated investing, and even boosting your income.
Yeah, quite a journey.
And the common thread running through, I will teach you to be rich, think and grow rich, and the richest man in Babylon.
Seems crystal clear, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Financial success isn't just about luck or being born into wealth. It's profoundly within your control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It comes from knowledge, yes, but also from consistent action and that persistent purpose we talked about.
Right. And remembering the why.
Exactly. The true aim, as Sethi puts it, isn't just piling up money for its own sake. It's using money as a tool to design your rich life, whatever that means to you personally.
Whatever that means to you. Having the freedom to chase your passions, maybe travel more, help out your parents, contribute to causes you care about. He mentions funding 13 schools himself as part of his rich life.
Wow.
Money, in that context, becomes a small but important part of a much deeper sense of satisfaction and purpose.
Yeah,
It enables the life you want to live.
that's a fantastic way to think about it. Okay, so to leave everyone listening with something to chew on, here's a final, maybe provocative thought, inspired by Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
Hill wrote, "The world is filled with an abundance of opportunity, which the dreamers of the past never knew." Given everything we've discussed today, how will you ignite your own burning desire and take that conscious, persistent action to claim your share of that abundance?